Welcome to Thriving with Chiropractic, where Dr. Mosier from Mosier Family Chiropractic shares a variety of topics designed to empower, inspire, and give hope. Take a few notes and enjoy the lesson.
Well, hey folks, this is Dr. Mosier here, and I have my co-host, my partner in crime, my beautiful wife, Ellen.
Hey folks.
And so today we're going to talk about migraines and headaches. But I got to ask you, what is more prevalent than the common cold? Well, you probably guessed it. It's migraines. It's headaches.
Well, how would they have guessed that?
I don't know. But, you know, the thing is with headaches and migraines, and we know this very well, is someone with migraines will cancel going to a concert. Mm-hmm. They'll cancel going to a ball game. They'll go cancel family outings, camping trips. They'll just cancel just about everything.
Yeah.
And really, they become known for the canceller, that person that you just can't rely on because they just always have a headache. You can't do anything. And there are actually 45 million Americans that have reoccurring migraines or headaches. Now, there's a difference between a tension headache and a migraine, and maybe you can dive into that.
Yeah, so like all the auras and the symptoms of a migraine are largely different than a tension headache. And a person who's had a migraine before will be able to testify and share stories with you about those differences personally. I, being a person who have experienced migraines multiple times, would be able to share with somebody what those differences are. So,
absolutely. So, like a tension headache is like this band around your head, and the migraine, it's really amplified.
Yep.
The pain is extreme.
It is extreme, and normally it's one-sided, right? So instead of a band around the entire, head, I mean, you're thinking one side, your eyes in pain, your neck's in pain, your jaw maybe in pain. So you're either going to be looking at the left side or the right side, and they say that's commonly the most known difference if you're trying to determine for yourself whether the pain, intensity is the differentiating factor, is if it's a left or right-sided only.
Absolutely. And there's, people are sensitive to light, they're sensitive to sound. I mean, they almost throw up.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they do.
No, they do. And that's because all of our senses are engaged in this pain that is occurring in the head. And it can get so intensified that it will cause your body to react. And those reactions are generally in not a good form that we would like.
Absolutely. So I'm going to use a term, and many of our audience probably hasn't heard this, but cervical genic. Mm-hmm. So where the headache or the migraine begins because of the cervical spine. And if you don't know, the cervical spine is the neck. And well, I know your story because obviously we're married, but
I hope you know my story. And I hope we're married.
Me too. But you used to suffer with migraines, and I watched you suffer with them, but share from your perspective what it was like going through your migraines.
Yeah, so I think I can resonate with a lot of people who suffer with migraines, right? It's debilitating, and you feel like pretty much when you're going in and day out of these episodes of migraines, you feel like your life and your quality of life is deteriorating, and you feel like your self-worth is lessening and lessening as these days are progressing. You're pretty much, you get down on yourself, and it sounds like a pity party, but hope is not really in your horizon when you're looking at migraines and dealing with them at a level that I was and many people do today. Your motivation to go out and do anything becomes questionable. Am I going to wake up tomorrow with a migraine? Because if I have a migraine tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to go to the concert, or I'm not going to be able to go with my family to the family reunion that we're supposed to have, because you never know. I just may have a migraine. And what's interesting about migraines is all migraines are triggered by something. And at an early stage of my migraines, I had no idea what my triggers were. Obviously, I became educated, and I was fortunate for that. And I hope that we're able to share those things with you today, because it's very imperative. And some of these things are simple and at-home things that we can do. And I feel for those who feel like their life is just becoming not much to look forward to, honestly. So
Absolutely. And that's really a big thing that we want to do with this podcast and with this YouTube channel, is provide ways and solutions that you can start really want to empower people to be able to work on themselves at home. But also, at the end, we're going to have a special offer for you if that's something that you're interested in. If you're a migraine or headache sufferer, we want to help.
Yeah.
We truly do.
A lot of our mission is empower, inspire, and give hope, and empowering with information and inspiring you to pick up the phone and reach out and ask for help. And that's not making yourself less of a person. We expect those calls, and then we want to give you hope, because this is not the end of your journey. This is only the beginning. So we want to be on that journey with you.
Absolutely. And speaking of the journey, because your journey with your migraines, well, we know about chiropractic care. We went the allopathic, the medical route, which is a route that many folks travel down. So, let's talk about some of the medical approaches that you've experienced with your migraines.
Sure. So when my mother took me to my primary care physician, they weren't sure what I was experiencing, if it was truly migraines or not. So, of course, I did an MRI. And they, of course, indicated that, yes, you're experiencing migraines. So their way for preventative care was putting me on an antidepressant. And that was a daily pill for me to take. And then on the onset of a migraine, because in the case that the preventative didn't work, the onset medicine, I had two choices. I could take an oral pill on the onset of a migraine, and it would work within 3 to 4 hours of taking the pill.
And it's a long 2 to 3 hours.
Right. Yeah. So, if you've got a migraine and it's coming on heavy, they come on fast. And so that pill wasn't really interesting to me. But I tried that one out, because the other option was a shot. And if anybody knows me at any depth, needles freak me out. I don't do well. I actually pass out from needles. So when I realized that the pill wasn't working fast enough for my onset of my migraines, that should have been preventative by the antidepressant that I was taking, right? Did you follow that? Kind of some crazy psychology there. The shot would work within 10 to 15 minutes of it being given. Now, for myself, with the shot, it was effective, but the sad part is I had to be in a bed, and I had to be almost laying down. I would give it in my leg, which terrified me, and I just had to count down and just do it. And once I did it, I'd have to lay down, and my side effects of the shot for myself, and I can't speak for others, they may not have side effects, but likely they probably do. My throat would swell, so I had a reaction to it, obviously. And I got very, very, very tired and sleepy. So I would immediately take a nap. Now, of course, when I would wake up from the nap, 9 times out of 10, my migraine was relieved, if not gone completely. So I got very concerned. I did not like giving shots, and I did not want to continue giving shots. And I sure did not want to be on an antidepressant. So, of course, I had my follow-up visit, right? As they always would recommend. And I went to it. And one thing I asked is, I said, I don't like medicine really, because it's hard to remember to take. But for this antidepressant that I'm on, is for a preventative. But at what length are we going to be on this antidepressant? And they told me, they said, well, that's something you're going to be on for life. Well, I dug my heels in deep, because for life, and I was still having migraines, it didn't make sense. So I had to do something. And I sure didn't want to increase my dose of the antidepressants. So I had some decisions to make. So
So you didn't want to become a zombie?
No, I didn't want to become a zombie because at that point, remember, honey
Bun.
that's right, we were just on the cusp. I think he was in college, and I was gearing up for my freshman year. Was that?
Mm-hmm.
Or I was within my freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
So like my life as a youngster, I mean, when you get out of the house and you're in college, like that's big time. Like you have finally reached, individuality, like your adulthood and your freedom. Like, let me fly like the wind. And that was not something I was thinking about at all, because I was wrestling, my day-to-days, what am I going to do today?
Absolutely. And so I'll let you finish your story because, chiropractic stepped in an interesting time in our lives. We were going through so much transition.
Mm-hmm.
So what did Dr. Morrow, what did the chiropractor do for you?
Yeah. So the first thing is I wasn't sure, my family hadn't really went to a chiropractor up until probably a year before I found chiropractic for myself. I was with my dad and his back. So I was like, I'll go, consultation, right? Let's see what they have to say. Surely it's probably going to be nothing more or better than what I've heard before. And so we went into consultation, and this gentleman asked me a plethora of questions. And when he was done, we did exams and he took x-rays. And I, at the time, was wanting relief, like immediately.
Yeah.
And I kind of didn't understand all of his questions. Like, why do you need to know what I eat? Are you judging me for all the sugar I take? Or how many McDonald's I, go through the drive-through, how many times a week? I might be addicted to McDonald's, but, whatever. So I didn't know why he was questioning some of these things. My sugar intake, what I was drinking, what I was eating, my exercise level, what do I do as a day-to-day routine. He asked me about that. So, but he was smart. And it was one way to connect with me as his patient. He wanted to know all about me. But in a report of findings, he sat down with me and he was like, look, there are some things that trigger migraines. And I want to share with you that you are having a lot of triggers in your life that no wonder you're having these migraines all the time, for starters. And then he showed me my x-rays, right? And you were there for these appointments. So he saw this firsthand with me. And then structurally, with my x-rays and exams that doc had taken on me, it structurally made sense. I was not right in the head, if that makes sense. Be nice. So now I can go into those triggers.
Well, I want to talk about those triggers here in a minute.
Okay.
But I want to go back early to your story of those antidepressants and how you had the MRI and the shots and all the meds, right?
Yeah.
Our society is so, well, there's a pill, there's a potion, there's a lotion for anything. And I'm thinking of a fairly new patient. He's a little bit older. I think he's in his later, about 70s. Let's go with that. Back in the 70s, he was a young man water skiing. He ended up messing up a disc in his neck, and he ended up having daily headaches. And he was working over here at a local factory, and he's providing for his family. So you have headaches. Well, there's a pill, there's a potion, and a lotion, once again. So he would take ibuprofen by the handfuls. You add years to that, and now, he's dealing with stage 3 kidney disease.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be mean or knock medicine, but long-standing intake of pharmaceutical drugs, well, there's a effect.
Right. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know, right? Like that gentleman, he was just doing what he knew to get through the day to provide for his family. That's what a lot of people do.
Absolutely.
I did that, right?
And the fun fact, he was still having the daily headaches when he came in.
Right.
And this was, I think he's been with us for about a month, and he actually reported no headaches anymore.
That's great.
And no more handfuls of ibuprofen neither.
Right.
But I want to dive a little bit into some of the causes of the headaches, of the migraines. Stress is one of them. Fatigue is a huge one. Allergies, sinus issues, eye strain, and hormone imbalances.
Right. Can I bounce on the stresses for a moment?
Well, you don't have any stress, do you?
No, I never have stress. So sometimes we as humans will have stress in our lives and we're aware of it, right? Like, yeah, I know this situation, this work position, you name it, it's stressing me. But sometimes our bodies have this unique way of handling stress where we don't know that we're stressed. That kind of sounds weird, like kind of out there, outside the box thinking. But I learned that the hard way. Like, I could think, well, I'm not stressed. But am I not stressed, or am I pushing it down and my subconscious is stressed, right? So don't write yourselves off on, well, I mean, my life's pretty good, I'm not stressed, because there may be something underlying that is causing that stress, and you're just not noticing it, or you're not willing to accept it and notice it.
This is true. Now, another big stress is really the stress on the spine.
Yeah.
And then obviously we're talking about that because that's what we specialize in.
We do?
Well, I think so.
I'm just checking you.
But I want to talk about migraines and headaches and why we have been so successful with these cases. That's not an arrogant statement. It's just chiropractic really does well with this. And so I have this fancy model right here on the table, and hopefully you guys can see that. But when that top bone right up here, way up top there, pulling your hair now. So when that bone shifts out of place, it can drastically affect the nervous system at the brainstem level. Now, I was at a spinal screening. We were there together. It was Friday night on the square. And, people would come and introduce themselves and say, yeah, doc, I got this sciatica going on. So I feel their low back and I feel up their spine. It's a spinal screening. So let's screen their spine. And I feel their neck and I go, right behind the mastoid, the skull bone. And I go right there where this bone is. And I feel it. And I'm like, do you suffer with headaches or migraines, anything like that? And they're just so shocked because it's like, how'd you know? How did you know? Yes. But it's very obvious, especially in the headache and the migraine cases, that top bone is out and is constantly putting stress and strain on the nervous system, but also on the muscles. And the fancy term for this is subluxation. And that's actually what Dr. Morrow mentioned to us. It was foreign to us at one point.
Yeah, it was a big word, and we're all accustomed to getting big words, and it's important, but we just don't quite understand or grasp the true meaning behind a big word. And I think that's one thing that I'm going to deviate for a moment, is that what we try in our office to do is take big concepts, big problems, and help our patients understand them at a level that it's not as big and scary. When we're talking in layman terms, like you have a misalignment in your spine, and we're going to correct that through a treatment called an adjustment. That's what the chiropractor is going to be doing today. A lot of people get scared and they'll walk out of their appointments, especially in not to bash them, in a medical facility, and they're like, yeah, I've got something bad going on. Well, what do you have bad going on with you? Well, I don't know. I got to go back for a follow-up, and they're going to do some tests. So I really want to make sure that our patients and our viewers, like, they understand, like, we truly care about you. We want you to walk out of here knowing, like, yes, you have a subluxation. But what does that mean, right? It's a misalignment in your spine. So that could be cervical, that could be thoracic, that could be lumbar. we're going to walk you through that, and we're going to help you understand. We may have these little models to show you and to like try to help you understand, but the best way to do it is through experience and stories and things that are relatable, right?
Absolutely. And that's why I'm just not going to tell you what your x-ray said or showed. I'm going to tell you and show you what your x-rays are doing.
Right.
Because you deserve to know. Now, you started to talk about triggers, and now I'm ready for the triggers.
Now you're ready for me?
So, what are some things that they at home can avoid that's probably going to help them?
Well, I'll use my own life story and then transform that into these triggers that you may be at home doing. So big hitter is I was drinking diet sodas, Diet Coke, Diet Dr. Pepper, Diet Pepsi, all the diets, right? Yeah. Well, I did that because I grew up on diet. Diet sodas have what's called aspartame in that. And it's just the sweetener that what I can say.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a known neurotoxin. Like when they do like test on rats, the rats die.
I don't want to die, folks. I don't want to be a rat. Okay. So no diet sodas. I had to take that completely out of my vocabulary. So regular soda it is. Now, another thing is anything that you can buy in a box, prepackaged for yourself, and it's been processed. Look at and it's going to take you a moment to get through the grocery store now. But you're going to look at these boxes and you're going to look at the ingredients. And if you see something that is either shorthanded MSG or longhanded monosodium glutamate, that is a preservative that helps that food stay nice and yummy. Well, probably put that right back on the shelf and go home and make it homemade, or choose something else that's not going to have that in it. That will trigger migraine probably within 30 minutes of ingesting that food. For example, at Thanksgiving, my grandmother would make stuffing. I love stuffing at Thanksgiving with my turkey, right? It's one of the things, like grandma knows stuffing better be on that plate. Well, I was noticing every Thanksgiving dinner at grandma's house, I was getting migraines and it was miserable. Well, grandma now makes homemade stuffing for me because that box stuffing, it just had MSG in it and I can't eat that. I'll be miserable. So through that, we learn, those are the two major things that I had to pay attention to. Something else is gum has aspartame in it. And alongside that, if you're chewing gum, and I did this all the time because it was my way to focus in, school. I was getting work done and studying and carrying on my business, which tightens your jaw, which tightens your muscles going up. Did you know you have muscles on the top of your head? Did you know that?
I think I do.
Oh, that's great. Well, you do. And if all of that is tight, there is really just no other option for your poor head. It's going to trigger a migraine. There's just too much going on because of that mechanical tightening of the chewing of the jaws, which can also lead to TMJ. But that's for another podcast.
That we've actually already done.
We've already done that one, folks. So just go look that up.
Yes.
So anyhow, going back, any food allergies, dairy, eggs, and you've probably guessed it, gluten.
Bread.
Yeah. I love bread.
I know.
I'm like a bread and potatoes girl. Did you know that?
I think I did.
Yeah.
I think I did.
So tightening up my intake of food, drinks, all that fun stuff. I'm not an alcoholic beverage drinker. However, red wine is going to get you, and darker brewed beers are going to get you. So you're better off with a white wine and a lighter beer choice. For those who are interested in keeping their alcoholic beverages as an available option, just be known in that. So
absolutely. And I'm thinking of the gluten, for instance, because we have a patient who, we recommended, hey, hold off on some of the gluten and let's see how your migraines with your chiropractic care does. And well, her results are phenomenal.
Yeah.
These food allergens like dairy, eggs, and gluten, even though they taste amazing, they inflame us. And inflammation leads to stress on the body because there's stress in the emotional aspect, but there's stress on the physical body. And that's really a lot of inflammation. And that's really what we're trying to help you do at home is dial back that inflammation. So let's talk about some helpful tips. So nutritional, right? And I very stealthily have our vitamin pack right there.
We hope you can see it. We're not being obvious.
But, let's talk about that because, Dr. Morrow actually recommended these as well. Magnesium, it reduces headaches, reduces tension in the muscles.
That's right.
Riboflavin, which is B2, that helps prevent migraines. Calcium actually relaxes the nervous system, so the spinal cord and the central nervous system, and the muscles and the blood vessels. Now, this is a neat one, and we actually have this in our Edison pack, but white willow bark. That is
what?
I know. It's a natural pain reliever.
I like that.
I'm a fan. So those are some nutritional things. Now, let's talk about ice. Should they heat or should they ice?
Well, a moment ago, you had mentioned something about blood vessels, right?
Yes.
Okay. Think about this, folks. Generally speaking, when you have a migraine, I wish this was question and answer and I could get feedback. But if you have a migraine, are your blood vessels wide open and you're getting an excess of blood in the head? Or are they restricted to where you're not getting enough blood to your head? What's the answer, Doc?
Well, really, it could be either way, but most commonly, there's restriction.
Restriction.
Yes.
Okay. So ice is going to be your go-to.
Yes. Because ice
helps reduce the inflammation.
Absolutely.
So to allow the blood vessels to relax and open up for normal blood flow.
That's true.
I hope that made sense, folks. We just got deep. So if you took anything away from our conversation, ice, no heat, even though heat feels better.
Yes.
Put a sweatshirt on. You'll be all right.
Now, you know very much. That was not good grammar. But anyway.
I know a lot.
About pressure points.
Yeah.
So where's LI4?
LI4?
Yeah.
Are we LI4?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Okay, so acupressure helps a lot. And what's nice about this is something you can do for yourself at home. All right. So you take your good old-fashioned thumb, take your good old-fashioned pointer finger, and you do this on both hands and just kind of relax your hand and push away right there between your other thumb and pointer finger.
True. I always found it, when you take your hand, let's see if you can see me, and where the crease ends, that's the point.
Okay.
To be super specific, but just really grab onto it and pinch really hard.
That's right.
You'll pinch so hard that, the pain here will take away the pain in your head.
I don't even know if that's possible, but I mean, you can.
Actually, it triggers
it.
It does. It triggers a reaction.
There you go. I'm glad you got that figured out.
Yes. Now, let's talk about aromatherapy.
Yeah.
There's two that I really like.
Yes.
Lavender and peppermint.
Yes. They're both very good. And you can use aromatherapy in several different ways. One way is very traditional. Put it in a room with a diffuser and you diffuse it and it goes into the air and you naturally breathe it, right? Mm-hmm. Then another way is actually to have it rolled on yourself or applied by droplets on the temples, on the back of the neck. Just make sure you don't get it too close to your eyes. That would just be a normal warning. Some people
that would be a bad day.
Yeah, you would not be happy with us. Some people have necklace diffusers or bracelet diffusers somewhere close where it can absorb into your skin and release some of that migraine.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So what do we do for migraines? We've told them that we're successful with migraines. We've told them cases. I mean, we could go all day. We could talk about the little boy that had headaches and migraines really just about every day. And he's 10 years old and he comes in and now he doesn't have migraines anymore. But how are we doing this? What are we doing for him?
Right. So, I alluded to it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We're just simply doing adjustments.
Yeah. Putting the spine back in place.
Yeah.
So adjustments, but something that kind of makes us just a little different. And I'm not knocking any other chiropractor we don't do that, but we really want to focus in on restoring the curve in the neck. Why is the curve in the neck so important?
Well, I think with our lifestyles these days, I don't have it on me. Miraculously. I'm going to pretend that I have it on me, but we all have phones, or most of us have phones, or we're sitting at a desk, or we're looking down as we're walking, and so you end up getting this like forward head carriage, right? You're always kind of extending out. They've come up with a not technical term for it, but text neck. I think here recently one of our social media posts was actually about it. But you asked why it's important. Well, it's important for how our body is actually functioning, right? We're not meant to have our spinal cord go, all this funky reversal curve. Sorry, way. We need that to go the correct way.
Absolutely. When you do your funky reversal cervical curve, it pulls on that spinal cord like a rubber band. And so those nerve impulses, they start to slow down, and that can actually affect when you have an upper cervical subluxation. Well, you can have headaches, but you can also have sleep issues. You can also have digestive issues, emotional issues. The list goes on and on, because you're really affecting not just your headaches, but you're affecting the entire neurology of your body,
which transforms into affecting your life.
Mm-hmm. But, we have some other tools like the laser therapy. It's an infrared light that stimulates the cells, causing, the cells to have more energy. So, with a subluxation, there's always a soft tissue component, right? Oh. And so we want to get that soft tissue healing again. So with the laser, we stimulate that healing. But soft tissue, there's something else in our office that deals with soft tissue.
Would that be massage therapy?
Yes.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned it. No, seriously though, a lot of people hold a lot of their tension and their stress in their shoulders and upper neck complex, right? Mm-hmm. We may, even if you're walking and you ever see people like their shoulders are up to their ears, and they are not doing this on purpose. I'm not
stressed at all.
You're not? Well, let me jackhammer that down for you. Because you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Like, the weight of our worlds that we live in are just so tense. So I encourage folks to even, try massage. Some people don't like to be touched. I get it. But honestly, just for your health and wellness, I would encourage you, if you haven't ever had a massage, and you should really try it out, because you can't imagine how much tension our bodies are holding and leading to some of these things like migraines.
Absolutely. So, you kind of talked about it with Dr. Morrow, and I'm always looking up to mentors in the past.
Yeah.
And he really took his time with you. And with this special offer that I'm going to tell you about, it's really it's a consult, it's an examination, it's x-rays. We want to find out what's going on. But like, it's not the consultation that you're kind of used to, where you sit in a waiting room, wait 2 hours, you go into the room and the doc looks at you and goes, you got headaches? Here's these pills. Have a nice day. We're going to sit down and we're going to get a comprehensive, history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to do an advanced exam, with advanced readings and scans, and find out, okay, how's the nervous system responding? But we have digital x-rays, which is, the more advanced type of x-ray. So we can see a lot of detail, which is neat.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like that. They want to see their x-rays. And I'm kind of a nerd. I like to see the x-rays too.
Mm-hmm.
What is our normal fee for that? Just to make sure I'm saying it right.
Normally it's $175.
Okay. Well, are you okay with us charging, if they watch this,
Mm-hmm.
and they can call the office,
Yep.
and if they say they watch this, could we do it for 30?
Well, sure.
Okay, then that settles it. She couldn't tell me no because I have her on camera. But if you call, or if really you may be watching this and you don't suffer with headaches or migraines, but you know someone that does, well, share this with them.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I was just going to say, you can share this with them, and then at your next appointment, talk to anybody in the office, doc, me, my sister, our girls that work here. We all have access to health certificates, and we would be happy to give that to you, and as many as you need, because we know that a lot of people, they deal with this day in and day out, and they just think this is their normal.
And really, you don't have to suffer with this anymore.
No.
You don't have to be that person that cancels all the time.
That's right.
Well, folks, stay tuned for next week's Thriving with Chiropractic. Have a blessed rest of your day.
If you found value in this video, please comment and let us know your biggest takeaway. We also ask that you don't keep this information to yourself. We ask that you share it with your friends and family by simply clicking the share button below.